number 715-2010. Nicole?
Ordinance number 715-2010, guarantee ordinance securing Union County Improvement Authority's county guaranteed renewable energy program lease revenue bonds, series 2011, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $20 million.
I will move, well, before I move that, I want to call upon Jonathan Williams, I believe, who has a statement on this particular.
Good evening, Chairman Sullivan, members of the board. The Union County Improvement Authority is here tonight to give the Board of Chosen Freeholders a status report with respect to the progress of the Union County Renewable Energy Program. With me tonight are Ryan Scoville from our firm, Ryan Garner from Birdsall, and Dennis Enright from NW Financial. And I'm pleased to report to the board that earlier today the local finance board acted to give us positive findings with respect to proposed financing that will lead to implementation of the renewable energy program. You may recall that the renewable energy program was initially funded by the Freeholder Board with startup funding. There were meetings held to invite participating or potentially participating municipalities and school boards to identify facilities that would benefit from the installation of solar arrays. Birdsall Engineering did a study of those groups and potential participants, and we've created a pool of 46 facilities for installation of solar arrays, all of which we expect now will be completed within roughly 1 year. The structure of this financing does call for and is dependent upon a county guarantee. Initially, it was our desire to try and avoid putting a county guarantee on the transaction, although in other areas where the transaction was completed, Morris County, Somerset County, and other locations, a 100% county guarantee on the debt that was issued, those guarantees were put in place. In Union County, we elected to do it somewhat differently, and we structured the transaction differently. We have required the vendor that participates in the competitive contracting process to give us a proposal to post 30% of the cost of the installation on their own, with the financing being only 70%. So therefore, the guarantee ordinance that you're looking at for possible introduction tonight calls for up to $20 million in bonds. We expect, however, to only issue bonds in the amount of $14 million because we've required the vendor to post that 30% contribution. You may recall from previous descriptions of this that the Improvement Authority and the county continue to have title to and own these solar arrays during the 15 years that it takes for the debt to be repaid. I'm sure you'll recall that we are requiring the vendor to repay all of the debt. The vendor in this case is Tioga Energy. And Tioga Energy has successfully completed a majority of the installations in Morris County without meeting any deadlines. They have submitted a proposal here which over the 15 years of the renewable energy program will save the owners of those facilities, the buildings and the parking lots for those school boards, participating school boards and municipalities of about $6.2 million over the 15 years. In addition to, of course, giving us all the benefit of solar energy over other sources of electrical generation in New Jersey. Those benefits, I guess, by now are well known. All of the things that I'm talking about are reflected in a report which is required by the competitive contracting statute and was posted on the Improvement Authority website, and which breaks down the savings on a roof-by-roof or parking lot basis. It shows the qualifications of Tioga Energy, which were reviewed for financial stability as well as from an engineering perspective and from a legal perspective. The report, I think, is quite complete and certainly warrants a review before, should the ordinance be introduced, warrants a review before the hearing and the next date for second reading of the ordinance. The Improvement Authority did earlier today take action to move the program along by designating Tioga Energy as the successful vendor recommended in the report. There was only one proposal received with respect to this procurement process, and we believe that's largely as a result of the fact that we required as a condition to protect the security of the transaction that 30% contribution. So what you have here is a situation where when the project goes forward, you have a construction bond during construction for the full amount or value of the construction project. When commercial operation starts, you have the energy revenue paid by the owners of the roofs. You have the sale of SRECs for the vendor. You have tax credits for the vendor. And you have the 30% equity contribution that they were required to make. In return for that, they do sell this electricity generated by these panels for slightly over savings of about 40% less than anticipated market cost for that same power if it were purchased from other sources. And lastly, the vendor does take responsibility for repaying all of the debt. No cost to the participants, no cost to the county. These folks will answer any questions you might have about the status of all of this. But of course, we'll be back on the 22nd for the public hearing to answer questions and then as well.
You're the rear bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jonathan, you said something earlier. I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. You said Tioga installed in Morris County the panels without meeting any of the deadlines. Do you mean without missing any?
Well, if I said that, I certainly misspoke. Without failing to meet any of the deadlines. They are on track and are performing perfectly without any problems.
Okay. And how many different communities within Union County took advantage of this plan?
16,
16 other
communities. I think that includes either towns or schools.
Yeah, I understand. So 16 of the 21.
As well as the county. The county is also a participant.
Okay.
2 roofs, I think.
Right. Great. Thanks. That's my question.
Anyone else? Jonathan, just, you know, you mentioned Morris County and their program there. Maybe you could talk about how our program compares to Morris.
Well, I think the biggest difference is that in Morris County, there is a 100% county guarantee on the debt which was issued by the Morris County Improvement Authority. Here, because we required as part of our procurement process, we only accepted proposals from companies that were willing to contribute or put in 30% of the cost of the initial installation, with the Improvement Authority county-backed guaranteed bonds only being for 70% of the cost. Essentially what that means, with the other sources of revenue, that in the event of a default during commercial operation, during the 15-year period, in this instance, you would immediately have what is essentially a $20 million worth of installation for $10 million in terms of actual exposure on the guarantee by the way the transaction is structured. So there's much more protection built into this transaction, and we were still able to achieve much higher savings than they were able to achieve in Morris County.
Great. And I applaud everyone who's involved in that for that type of performance and getting those type of results. So again, my thanks to you gentlemen, and I'm certain you know, it's going to be a project that's going to go well, and it's going to provide the benefits that we've spoken about. I just have to comment, just as an aside, on the whole solar energy project. Last week I was invited to the PSE&G announced the beginning of their solar farm, which is down in Tremblay Point. They have 11,000 solar panels laid out on the ground, actually, generating an enormous amount of electricity for them. So I mean, this is the future. This is the biggest utility in the state of New Jersey, which sees things the way we do. So, and they were very optimistic that this was really just the beginning. I know they're doing it, I think, in other parts of the state as well. But it's an enormous field, like I said, with solar panels. So,
Thank you very much, Freeholder. The program is being initiated in a number of other counties, but Union County is certainly out front in terms of getting results and getting it done.
thank you very much, and we'll see you gentlemen on the 22nd for the final reading. I will move ordinance 715-2010 for first reading, authorizing the clerk of the board to advertise the same in accordance with the law. The public hearing and final reading for this ordinance is scheduled for Wednesday, December 22nd, 2010. May I have a second? I will go with the, we'll defer to the vice chair. The second, roll call, please.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Jallo?
Aye.
Freeholder Mirabella?
Aye.
Freeholder Ward? Aye. Vice Chairman Scanlon?
Aye.
Chairman Sullivan?
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, sir.
Thank you.
The main thing I had was on the solar panel thing that I've looked into quite a bit, especially in Morris County. I don't know if it's going to be 14 million or 20 million. It wasn't clear. I guess it's going to be, well, it says 20 million in there. But it's already been, a lot of that has already been spent. The savings, and it's nice that Jonathan Williams and Dakota Fitzpatrick didn't come out with his 25% savings and all that, because he obviously knows that's only on the solar part. The whole savings, according to the Morris County study, would be about 2-3%, something like that. So he went to numbers, which I can't verify now. He said 6.2 million over 15 years as a savings, which oddly enough is 6.2 million was what Dakota's billed the Union County Improvement Authority over 6 years. So the savings might be going directly to them, plus a little something extra. The solar renewable energy thing, totally. But what it is, it's bonding, and the company that's going to bond is expecting to pay back the bonds with SRECs. Now, if PSE&Z putting up all these solar panels is not a good thing for this. If they're because they're the customer for SRECs. They have to buy SRECs if they don't have a certain portion of their energy coming from solar. So effectively, they're killing the market for SRECs, which will mean that we don't know about Morris County yet. First debt payment comes due August 2011. And if they can't sell their SRECs, and incidentally, the company that's on the hook in Morris County is something called Tioga Morris County 1, something like that, LLC. It's not the Tioga Energy. They've set up this other company. So it looks like defaulting for them would be no major issue. And that's what's going to be set up here. No, probably. Now, the people who are going to make out on this, and so far it's cost $517,000, according to the records of the Union County Improvement Authority, for the 1 year this thing's been going on. Dakota Fitzpatrick, $280,000 plus. PMK Birdsall, $220,000, and a little something to the Union County Alliance, I guess, for advertising. That's just without one solar panel being up. Projecting this out, this is a couple $1 million that's going to be coming out, and for solar panels, which might be like a 2% savings, maybe, if you read the Morris County study. So it's a terrible idea. More research should be done on this, and I'd welcome even a discussion with Jonathan Williams, though it might be good he left, so that's an hour that he won't be billing.